Good day, friends. As you can see, at my background, behind me would be a memorial of a war tank that has been donated on behalf of the Canadian government in honor of those who fought and died. 40,000 strong of them fought, and 160 died in that cause of the joint cause for bringing freedom and peace to the country of Afghanistan back in 2014. So this memorial is standing here because we remember as Canadians the courage, the valor, and the fight that was with our Canadian soldiers, the young men and women who fought for freedom and for liberty. We are in our series today on the battles in the Bible, and we will look at a particular battle that our main character today has fought, and this is a very well-known story in the Bible. We can see here that in our story in 1 Samuel 17 that David fought the Philistines, and this was initiated by their leader Goliath, who in our story that was read a while ago, he was mocking the armies of Israel, of the people of God. And so David, in our text, did not take that lightly. In fact, he wasn't a military person. He just so happened to be there because his father was obedient to his father, and he brought food to his brothers who were at a standstill and with the Philistine army. In it says there that the champion of the Philistines, Goliath, was from Gath and came out of the Philistine camp, and he was over 9 feet tall. He was a fierce giant, and he had a helmet, he had a coat and a scale armor of bronze, and he brought his javelin with him. He had a spear, and he had all these tools. And little did he know that he would be faced by a small boy, the youngest son of Jesse, and who was a shepherd. His only real experience with fighting was with fierce animals. And so we see here that in the battle that David had, initially this was a physical battle, but we will learn in our story today that it is more than that. Just as like we face many battles in our lives, but more on the spiritual realm, more on the spiritual battles. And so just like David and Goliath, the story, we won't be looking at the story and saying that this is a story of how we can fight our own Goliaths or our own giants. But it's more than that. It has something to do with the gospel. So let's take a look and take a listen. So see, friends, the story of 1st and 2nd Samuel records the life of King David, and we see the inspiring stories of David's trust in God, and we see when he faces Goliath. We see here when he refuses to attack Saul and looks after Mephibosheth. See, these are the victories, these are the triumphs that we could see in David's life, and we also see David making a mess and his tragedies and the things that he did with Bathsheba and his violent behavior, and when he ordered a national census. But today we would like to look at the episode in David's life, not just to capture our attention, because this is indeed one of the more popular stories of David and Goliath, but we also see here how the gospel takes shape especially in the light of what has already happened in the Bible story. We've seen how God worked in the life of Adam and Eve, especially when the fall happened, and the first prototype of the gospel was seen. And when it was mentioned in Genesis 3:15 that eventually the seed of the woman will strike the head of the serpent. And while this happens, the serpent will also strike the heel of the seed. So this is the first glimpse of the gospel, how Jesus Christ will redeem and eventually be able to have the victory in everything that God has planned for His people. So just like the background here, again we see a memorial of the victories of Canada and its armies. We see here the victory of David, and we saw what happened. We read what happened. This is when Goliath was mocking the armies of God, and his Philistine army behind him for several days. They were at a standstill, and now we have seen that David has seen too much of the mockery, and so he takes a stand. He takes a stand because his faith is not in himself. His faith is not in his own abilities,